That's why I live in Humboldt.
Humboldt, located along the Redwood Coast in Northern California, is one of the most beautiful regions in the West. From our giant redwoods, our wide open beaches, our state and national parks, and our world-class fishery. So hang with me, and I'll show you why my family and I live in Humboldt. Man, love it here. I'm headed out to Petrolia today. It's about 50 or so miles south of Eureka. As you go through over the Fern Bridge and through Ferndale, it's a really beautiful drive out there. There's a lot of history in Petrolia, and I think what I'll do is end my day out at the mouth of the Mattole too. So really appreciate you watching. Please be sure you subscribe down below. I'll see you out there. Definitely one of my favorite stretches of road in Humboldt. There's no doubt about it. This is Mattole Road. Mattole Road runs right into Petrolia, but I'm headed south. I think what I'm going to do real quick is pull over real quick. I love it out here. Mattole Road this stretch, probably one of my favorite stretches of roads in Humboldt, actually. This is Mattole Road. That's looking north towards Cape Mendocino. And now the road runs all the way down here. Look at that. It's looking south. Mattole Road runs right around and goes up in that valley a little bit. Old Mattole Road cuts around this way. The original Mattole Road. We're going to drive past it. I believe it's private property now. It's not open to the public, but it comes out right where Zanon Ranch. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correct, but it's spelled Z-A-N-O-N, but it's one of the large ranches up here, but that's looking south. The mouth of the Mattole is right up over here. And if you keep going, get out to Shelter Cove and all of that. So, man, welcome to the California Redwood Coast and the Lost Coast, which is this whole section all back in there as you keep heading south towards Shelter Cove and the Sikion State Wilderness Park and all that. Man, it's beautiful here. All right, I couldn't drive by here and just not stop, so let's keep going. This is what I believe is Old Mattole Road. Right here. And it cuts up and goes around the mountain and then drops back down to Zanon Ranch. I'm pretty sure. But it's private property. You can't go back there. But if If I'm wrong, my bad. Somebody in internet land, I'm sure, will correct me, but we're going to keep going. They cut this road back here and cuts up through the valley and comes out in the same spot. Getting up further inland. There used to be zebras out here, but I don't know that they're here anymore. I'm going to stop anyway. This field right here, there used to be several. I don't see anything, but I'm going to stop real quick and look. Old Mattole Road comes down right over here as well, so let me park before I run off the road. Man. This is Old Mattole Road, comes right down through over here. Comes out at that stop sign. That's where we were earlier. I don't see any zebras out here. They used to keep zebras in this field here a while back. At last couple times I was out here, they've been gone. But well, back in the day, and especially in the mid to late 1800s, there were several large ranches that were established out here, and one of them was the Domingo Zanion Ranch, which I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not quite sure, but it was 6,000 acres, and it was all of this stuff back in here, way back in here. And I'm not completely sure, but this might have been part of it as well. But they settled quite a bit. Ranchers, you know. But the other ones is a Joe Etter Ranch. The Clark Ranch, that was 2,800 acres. The Cook Ranch was like 3,000 acres. I mean, they were quite huge. The Ratcliffe Ranch was a couple thousand. But I'm not sure who owns them all now. But those were the major back in the day. So anyway, let's keep going. I'm bummed there's not zebras out here anymore. Who knows? I bring my nephews out here for kind of a wild zoo experience, but let's keep going. One of the cemeteries before you get into Petrolia. I'm gonna stop real quick. The Petrolia Table Cemetery. It's a little more modern, I guess you could say. It's important to recognize that this is Mattole land, and they were here long before any of the settlers. But in 1854, it was George Hill that came over and discovered the Mattole River Valley again. You say discovered. The Mattoles here were long before anybody arrived, but they soon discovered petroleum leaking out of the ground. In 1859, the Humboldt Times were running reports about rock oil springs in Petrolia, and then they started exploring for oil in 1861, but there was also an earthquake that hit in 1861, so they were looking for oil for about 7 months and then stopped. But in a car going by. In 1866, April 14th, they opened the post office down there in Petrolia, and all the mail was being postmarked coming from Petrolia, and so I think that's when the name got established back in 1866. So we're gonna go check it out. Yeah, Petrolia was named after the oil springs and the oil boom. It was never successful, but this area was supposed to be the California oil rush, and it never actually turned out to be that. But I'm gonna go down into the town and check it out. It's a lot of private residences in there, so I want to be very respectful when I get down in there. But if I can make it out to the old cemetery, I'd love to. Ike Duncan's one of the original Mattoles that are buried down there, and I'd like to go pay my respects. So let's keep going. Let's pull over real quick. You can oversee the town of Petrolia down in there. Let me get out for a second. Check it out. See the town of Petrolia down in there. Yeah. sort of the oil boom, if you could call it. In 1864, James Henderson showed up here in the Mattole Valley. And he stayed for a few weeks and apparently filled up a couple flasks of oil. And then he headed out on his horse to get up down to San Francisco, made it down to Covello, and apparently took a spill and busted all his flasks except for one. But then he made it to San Francisco, and there he met Thomas Scott, who was the superintendent of the Pennsylvania Railroad. But Thomas Scott was also getting into the oil industry, the country's oil industry anyway. So Thomas Scott got into partnership with Levi Parsons, another person. He was already involved with buying up oil lands up and down California. And so he solicited Levi Parsons to be his agent. Levi Parsons apparently owned the San Francisco Dock and Wharf Company in San Francisco. And they purchased 450,000 acres worth of land from LA all the way up here to Cape Mendocino, which apparently included this land down here as well, too. That's where it all started, man. The town, anyway. The first oil, I believe, the first drill was over on the Mattole River over here on the other side along, I think it's Conklin Road, but somewhere in there. The Mattole Petroleum Company and the Union Mattole Company were the two, I think, the two largest oil companies here. But the Mattole Petroleum Company was the largest. They wound up with 100 barrels of oil total, and then they shut down in 1866. Same thing with the others as well. So it wasn't quite the oil boom, but yeah, that's kind of where it started anyway. It's a good overlook though, you know. Cool, let's keep going. In the town here, this is the road to the cemetery here, but I'd love to walk out to it, but it looks like there's a fence. That's a shame, but at least I'm gonna do is get out real quick. Wow. Man. Welcome to downtown Petrolia. What a cool little town. It's very private and quiet here, and I want to be respectful of the residents. There's the cemetery. You got to walk to it on this road, but apparently it crosses private property, so I'm not going to go out there. There's a lot of historic people that are buried out there, including Isaac Duncan, who I'm going to head out to where his property was. I'm going to go out to the mouth of the Mattole, but he's buried here. I would love to go pay my respects, but I don't want to walk on anybody's property here. But anyway, in 1871, a stage line was established between Petrolia and Eureka, and the town started building up from there. But in 1903, a fire got started at the Sage's store, and it burnt everything down except for the Petrolia Hotel, a blacksmith shop, a couple of the residences. There's that's a store, and the post office is inside the store there. Firehouse. I realize there's so much history here. All right. Well, as much as I want to go out to the cemetery, I think I'm going to skip it. So, all right. Let's just go up to the church and walk that building real quick. Go through. Man, yeah, I see the post office and the store in here. It's in the back of the store anyway. Petrolia Fire District, it's a volunteer. We are out here. Petrolia's out and about. I mean, it's about 45 minutes at least over to Ferndale. And if you stay on Mattole Road, it goes through Honeydew and all that, and it comes out on Highway 101. But it's, you know, it's a bit of a drive. But actually, I want to be respectful. I don't want to video anybody's houses as I go through here. But the church is right up here. I want to stop real quick and check out the church at least. Right there, look at that. You could see it from the top where we were earlier. So I'm gonna pull over and check it out. Wow. I don't really want to film anybody's houses. Historic church. Overlooks the town of Petrolia. And actually the cemetery's back in over there. St. Patrick's Catholic Church. Yeah. I believe it's still in operation, but I don't totally know that. So I don't want to give anybody bad information, but it's beautiful here, man. All right. I want to head out to the mouth of the Mattole. And man, as much as I'd love to go out to the cemetery, it's right over there. You walk this road, we were right there, and you walk this trail up and over there. But all right, well, I'd stop at the church. All right, I'm gonna head out towards the mouth of the Mattole and check out the property of Ike Duncan, one of the original native Mattoles, and his father, Joe Duncan. They owned property out there near the mouth, and the Mattole Lumber Company as well too. So the old railroad tracks. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, look at that. Normally I come down here during the week and school's in, and I don't want to be filming the school while there's kids out, so I'll be respectful, but on the weekend, not so much. Yeah, there's the cemetery right back in there, man. Dang it. Anyway, let's keep going and get out on Lighthouse Road. Lighthouse Road cuts off of Mattole. If you follow Mattole around, it takes you out to Honeydew and all that. But Lighthouse Road, actually, and if you go in through here, this is the old Coast Wagon Road. Main Street and all that is back in here in this community. The Mattole River runs right around the back of this in here. So, all right, let's keep going. And actually, that's headed out towards the mouth of the Mattole that way. That heads up the valley towards Honeydew, but we're not going to Honeydew. We're actually headed out to Lighthouse Road. The Punta Gorda Lighthouse is out here as well. You got to hike over to it, but we're going to go out to the end. There's a campground out here, out at the mouth and all that. It's pretty cool. All right, I can't help myself. I cannot ever drive through here without stopping and checking out the the truck in the tree. It's private property, so I don't really like to point out the exact location. It's not that hard to find, but I believe this is the old historic Clark Ranch. I don't know if it's still owned by them or not, to be honest. It might be, but I'll tell you what they do have. It's a Ford 150 Custom, man. Look at it. I won Photo of the Week one time on our local news channels, and it looked like that truck was flying through the tree because I took the picture from over here. I had the sun kind of shining through. There's a surfboard in the back. But one of the comments was that I photoshopped that truck into my picture, and I most certainly didn't. So anyway, that's cool, man. Gotta stop and see the truck in the tree. All right, we're gonna keep headed down get to the mouth of the Mattole and see if I can walk out to Sea Lion Rock. Mouth is right up there. I'm gonna pull over real quick here. Check out the Mattole River. That's where we just came from. Town of Petrolia is up in there, and that's the mouth of the Mattole right over here. but I wanted to stop. Again, it's important to recognize this is Mattole Indian land, and they were here long before the settlers ever arrived in George Hill in 1854. But by the time 1864 rolled around, most of the Mattole were, I mean, it's dark history, but the remaining Mattole were moved down to the Round Valley Reservation. I believe it's down in Mendocino. There were a couple of Mattoles that were allowed. It makes me want to kick my own butt to use that terminology, but one of them that was still here was Joseph Duncan, and he owned property right across the Mattole here, somewhere in here, and I don't know if that building up there is an original or not. Like, I have no idea. I mean, that was over 150 years ago, but Joseph Duncan owned this land in here, and in 1887, the U.S. Congress passed the Dawes Act, and part of that legislation allowed Native Americans, to regain surplus land, their own land, by the way, and granted them U.S. citizenship. And one of them that came back was Isaac Joseph Duncan, who was Joseph Duncan's son, and he regained the land up here on Prosper Ridge, it overlooks the mouth of the Mattole. And that was in 1895, I believe is the date on that. So we're going to head up over there and see if I can drive up on Prosper Ridge and get an overlook of the mouth of the Mattole and all that. The other thing that got established here later on, I'm going to go walk out there, is the Mattole Lumber Company, which they logged tan oak. And they built a railroad. The Mattole Lumber Company Railroad it came up right on the other side of the river, came down here and went around the corner and they built a wharf out in Seal Rock. And I'm going to park at the campsite up here and see if I can walk out, see how far I can make it. At least see if I can find Sea Lion Rock. It sits out there, I know where it's at, but they built a wharf that went all the way out there. So I'm going to keep going, and I think I'm going to try to drive up on Prosper Ridge and check out where Ike Duncan's property was. A bit of a steep drive. I would recommend a four-wheel drive if you got it. Make our way to the top. Hello. Man. Getting towards the top. I'm going to pull over and stop up here. Wow. Man, it's beautiful here. So this would have been Ike Duncan's land here. And he acquired it back in 1895. Reacquired it. I mean, the Mattole Indians owned this land, but this would have been his parcel. I don't know if these buildings are original, but they certainly look to be from that time period. I think he passed away in 1948, and he's buried down at the historic cemetery down there in Petrolia. I wanted to walk out there, but you got to cross private property in that. But this would have been his parcel of land. It's beautiful here, man. See, right up along the coast, you can see Sugarloaf Island up over there, Cape Mendocino. But the mouth of the Mattoles has some other history, and that's the Mattole Lumber Company, which is established by the Stewarts. Calvin Stewart, back in 1872, established a port down in Mendocino. In 1893, wound up in Bear River, or Bear Harbor. And you can get to Bear Harbor if you go to Sinkyone. If you go up through Whitethorn and you drop down on the Lost Coast, and go down to Shelter Cove and all of that. But him and his partners bought the Bear Harbor and the wharf, and they established the Bear Harbor Lumber Company, and they also created a railroad line, the Bear Harbor and Eel River Railroad. But in 1903 he sold his interest, and he wound up here in the Mattole River Valley. And in 1908 they built a wharf out to Sea Lion Rock out there, and they created a wharf out there, and they also established and incorporated the Mattole River Railroad, which is about, from what I read anyways, about 1.5 miles worth of railroad tracks. It was a narrow gauge railroad, and it ran around the north side of the Mattole River, and it went around the bend, and it went out there to the harbor, and then the wharf, and they built the wharf out to Sea Lion Rock. I mean, it's long gone now, but I don't think the river is running out to the ocean. It's just that time of year. So I'm gonna head down the Mattole River and the outlet, or the mouth of the Mattole and this beach. Man, mark it down as one of my favorite spots for sure. All right, I'm gonna head back down the hill, and we're gonna go out to there's campsites down in here, and there's a rec area and a bathroom and all that. I'm gonna park and take a walk out, at least see how far out I can get out and check out Sea Lion Rock. Man, it's beautiful here. Man, just had to go up and turn around. And if you keep going on this road, this is Prosper Ridge Road. It zigzags behind me, goes up around this bend, and then you can drive over to Windy Point, which is south of us here. And then you can hike down to the Punta Gorda Lighthouse. That was built in 1911, and it's still out there, all the foundations and all that. Or you can park down where I'm about to go, and you can hike along the coastline down here. But man, that's looking south. Shelter Cove and the Punta Gorda Lighthouse and Sinkyone and all that. But we're headed back this way. Look at that. Man, it's beautiful. All right, I'm gonna drive back down to the bottom and park down by the campsites and see if I can't walk out to Sea Lion Rock, or at least close to it. Entering Mattole Beach. I love this beach. There's a bathroom facilities. I'm going to park up over here, but there's campground facilities over here as well. It's dry camping, but man, the one thing is for sure, you are out and about. You know, you definitely want to come prepared. I always recommend a four-wheel drive when you come out here, but you know, to each their own. But here's the campsites. I'm going to park, grab some stuffs, see if I can make it out, check out the mouth of the Mattole. Man, like camping by the ocean. This is a killer spot to do it. It's dry camping, but man, you are right here. Wow. It's late in the year, late in the day too, but I love Mattole Beach. All right, I'm gonna start hiking out to towards Sea Lion Rock and walk the mouth of the Mattole. But from up at Ike Duncan's place, it didn't look like the river's actually running out to the ocean. It absorbs in and makes its way out. But let's get to hiking. Wow, wind's picking up. And there's a view of Ike Duncan's place. And those railroad tracks from Mattole Railroad Company ran right along the end of this end of the river. Ran along the riding coast, and there's sea lion rock out there. That wharf was 2,000 feet long. Railroad tracks were only about 1.5 miles long. They started around there by Joseph Duncan's place, and they came around here, and they had a steam donkey out at the end of this wharf when it was built. I was pointing at the wrong place. It's right there. They'd bring the lumber down, all the tan bark, and they'd load it up on a cart, and then they'd wheel it out, and they'd get it out to the end of that wharf and ship it out of here. That's also where all the materials came from when they built the Punta Gorda lighthouse. They used the sea lion wharf out there. Man, that's cool. Well, I mean, it's kind of flat, but I mean, I don't know. The tracks were there, but I don't exactly see any relics of it. It's been long removed. Well, that's it, but it's right in there. It's just got some mist covering it. Wow. Well, no matter where you go in Humboldt, there's a lot of history here, and I don't know, I'm fascinated by it all. Again, I'm no historian, but it is cool to at least know where you're living and what it's all about. So, well, that wind's picking up, so I make my way back. It's late in the day, it's windy, I'm hungry. I got a hankering for some pizza. Beautiful, man. All right, I'm headed home. Man, I just beat the storm. Well, that's the historic town of Petrolia on the beautiful mouth of the Mattole River. Man, it is really cool here. There's so much history here in Humboldt. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for everybody that's subscribed to this channel. My family and I really greatly appreciate it. If you want to help support the channel, you can certainly do so by going over to HumboldtAxe.com, and we have hats and hoodies and all the rest of it, and anything we make revenue-wise goes straight back into supporting the channel. So thank you so much. Be sure you subscribe down below. I'm Doc, and I'm living in Humboldt.